What's up everybody, Andrei from CBRN Academy here. Many of you have already seen our GP-5 review, as it is one of the most watched videos on our channel. Now I'm not sure how many of you will be surprised when I say it wasn't a review at all, just an April Fool's Day joke. I know, this must be devastating and I'm truly sorry. To set the record straight, we decided to make a proper review in which we took an in-depth look at GP-5 from a perspective of a modern-day survivalist in order to test it and evaluate how relevant the mask is in 2024. Could it still be used today, or is it just a collector's item at this point? Stick around to learn more. In this review, you can also rewatch the April Fool's Day version with added commentary, as not everything said there was a total nonsense. First, it's very important to understand how exactly to measure your head to determine the correct size of GP-5's facepiece before we proceed with the actual review. GP-5 was made in 5 sizes, 0 being the smallest and size 4 being the largest. To perform the measurement, you need this type of a measuring tape, which you can easily wrap around your head. When measuring your head, you need to make sure the tape covers 3 key places: the crown, the chin and the cheeks. This is easier said than done, as you may end up with inaccurate numbers because of multiple errors you might easily commit. It's always better to ask a friend to help you. I ended up with a measurement of roughly 68 centimeters, but what does it actually mean? We need to compare this number to the GP-5 sizing table. As you can see, the correct size for me is size 2, which is within the range of 66 and 68 centimeters. If your measurements happen to fall somewhere in between sizes, the rule of thumb is always to pick a smaller size rather than a larger one. This actually applies to sizing of every respirator, so always keep this in mind. We obtained the GP-5 kit for €9 from a local surplus store, which is probably the main reason why it's so popular among preppers all over the world. You can get it dirty cheap almost anywhere, whether it's United States, Europe, Asia, you name it. The mask comes in this rather simple textile carrying bag made in khaki color. It has 3 separate compartments, the main one for storage of the respirator with a filter and 2 side pockets for storage of a box with anti-fogging films or whatever additional stuff you'd like to carry along. The lids of all 3 compartments are secured with simple buttons, 2 buttons for the main compartment and single buttons for the side pockets. The carrying bag is meant to be worn over a shoulder, as it has an adjustable shoulder strap. There is also a simple strap to secure the bag around the waist, so it wouldn't fly around during sudden movements or running. Gotta say, I find the bag pretty impractical and it's basically just a flimsy piece of cloth. It made me, however, appreciate modern carriers and pouches, as they are much sturdier and hold their shape. That makes a lot of difference, especially during mask deployment. But if you don't have any other storage unit for your respirator, this one will get the job done. In order to access the main compartment, you need to unbutton it first. Again, not the most practical way to access the respirator, especially in imminent danger when you need to access the respirator as soon as possible. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the legendary GP-5 gas mask itself. Some of you have probably noticed there is something wrong with the mask right off the bat, so let's address one of the biggest issues with most Soviet and Eastern European gas masks from that era. The rubber is extremely sensitive to sun exposure and gets sunburned really fast. When I received this gas mask, the rubber was in pristine condition. The discoloration happened as a result of the GP-5 being placed on a table during one of our events on a sunny day for like 3 hours. Even though the rubber is still flexible and springy, exposure to direct sunlight damages the rubber permanently, and it can happen really fast. GP-5 is a helmet-style gas mask, meaning it has no head harness straps and the facepiece covers not only your face, but also the crown and the part of the back of the head. While there are certain advantages to this specific design, wearing the GP-5 or a similar gas mask, especially for prolonged periods of time, is certainly not the most pleasant experience, as you will learn later in the review. When looking at the outside of the mask, there is not much to talk about. The GP-5 has 2 round lenses made of glass.
Then there is a metal valve chamber consisting of a filter connector with Soviet 40mm filter thread, commonly known as OZ40x4, and an exhalation assembly with two exhalation valves. The rubber of both the inlet and exhalation valves is still in great condition, it's very flexible and it doesn't crumble. That, together with undamaged facepiece, is paramount for a proper seal and must be in good condition. The size of the mask is indicated by the embossed number located on both sides of the facepiece, in this case it's size 2. There's also a bunch of other information embossed on the right side of the facepiece, like where the mask was made, but this isn't a historical episode, so the only other relevant information for us is the year of manufacture. This particular GP-5 was made in 1983. The inside of the mask is just as interesting as the outside. It's a seriously outdated respirator with no voice diaphragm, fluid intake system or sweat drainage system. It doesn't even have an oral nasal cup, the main function of which is to limit the carbon dioxide levels inside the mask. At least there are tissot tubes located under the lenses through which inhaled air passes in order to reduce lens fogging. There's one more item in the bag's main compartment. Oh yes, the infamous asbestos filter. Hit the panic button! The filter unit is encased in this metal canister, which is something you'll never see with modern day filters, as their bodies are made of durable plastic. The marking on the front side says GP-5 and the numbers under it are the manufacturing date. Technically speaking, it's your usual 40mm ghost gas mask filter. In order to make it ready for use, first unscrew the top cap, which protects the filter thread. Underneath there is an additional rubber patch, I guess to prevent moisture from entering the filter through the opening. Finally, we have to remove the bottom rubber plug, which in this case took a considerable amount of force, as at first it didn't even budge. There we go, now the GP-5 filter is ready to be used. Wait, did you really think I'm going to use it? Nope! Apart from the fact that a couple of independent laboratories confirmed presence of asbestos fibers in the particle filtration unit, this thing is ancient and I seriously doubt the activated carbon inside retained any protective properties. The GP-5 filters should be discarded on site and properly recycled. End of story. There's one last item to unpack from one of the side pockets. This round metal box with the letters NP embossed on the lid contains what we call anti-fogging films, another thing you'll never come across with modern day respirators. The casing is quite battered, which is never a good sign. Inside there is a piece of paper with the number 66 or 99, whatever that means, and also another piece of paper with the name of the manufacturer, batch number, etc., all in Russian of course. The round plastic anti-fogging films themselves are at this point completely useless, as they are deformed and discolored due to the age and also probably due to exposure to moisture and other external factors. We'll just put it all back into the box and into the side pocket. Without the anti-fogging films, we have to come up with another solution before the inevitable field test, and fortunately, we know exactly what needs to be done. Some of the old Czechoslovak gas masks from the 1950s came with a small piece of soap, which when applied to the inner side of the lenses, reduced the fogging considerably. I kid you not. This is not a permanent solution and the anti-fogging properties diminish rather quickly, but it will get the job done for our purposes. You can use any piece of glycerin soap, by the way, which is basically any soap you can find at home or in a store. Instead of the original GP-5 filter, we are going to use a safe, modern 40mm filter with the OZ40x4 filter thread. It's impossible to tell the Stanek and Soviet Ghost filter threads apart just by looking at them, so always make sure to use a filter compatible with the filter connector of your gas mask. In this case, the marking on the filter's body clearly states it's meant for the Soviet OZ40x4 threads. With the filter screwed into the gas mask, the GP-5 is now ready to be used, so we'll put it back into the carrying bag to demonstrate its proper deployment and donning. God, I hate the bag so much! It takes ages just to insert the mask in. In case of imminent threat, stop breathing, close your eyes and reach for your GP-5. With both hands, stretch the facepiece to open it up, insert your chin into the mask first, and then flip the facepiece over your head so it would cover your head and ears evenly. Perform the negative pressure test. Exhale sharply and then open your eyes. For an unskilled person, the donning of GP-5 is not easy and there is a lot of room for mistakes. One of them is that some part of the sealing line may end up folded, especially around the front neck area. Always make sure the edges of the facepiece lie flat against your skin. I couldn't find any information about the GP-5's field of view in the original user manual, so I'll just say the vision is quite alright. You can clearly see what's in front of you, and most importantly, the vision is not distorted. When donned and adjusted correctly, the GP-5 sealing line provides an excellent seal, and I dare to say it's much more universal in comparison to respirators with a sealing line around the user's face. That's because different face types may have different asymmetries that may cause a potential sealing issue, which is especially true in case of very sturdy respirators like OM90 sorry, I meant CM7M. I always confuse those names. What's also worth noting is that even with a rather heavier filter mounted, the seal can't be broken by sudden head movements, and I tried my best.
So as you can hear, my voice is barely audible and the microphone is right in front of me. The GP-5 has no voice diaphragm, so at longer distances you wouldn't be able to understand me at all.
To take the GP-5 off, grab the valve chamber with one hand and pull the mask up. Easy. As always, we're going to perform our classic jogging test, this time in this abomination of a gas mask, and I can't wait for it. Remind me, why am I doing this again?
Fun?
Yeah, exactly, that's the word, fun. As previously mentioned, the vision through GP-5's lenses is good enough. The navigation through rough terrain while running didn't present any problem, which is one of the most important aspects when trying to get away from danger as fast as possible. Can't complain about breathing resistance either, but that's also because I'm using a high quality filter. After some time of wearing, I started to notice the facepiece was squeezing my jaw area, which gradually became a bit painful. Also, your hearing is a bit limited due to the facepiece covering your ears, but hey, what do you expect from an old Soviet gas mask for €9? The thin soap layer effectively prevented any lens fogging, which is something I actually didn't expect to work as well as it did. After 30 minutes of jogging in GP-5, I couldn't wait to take it off. And I really didn't expect what happened when I took the mask off. Can't imagine my head floating in this ever-rising sea of sweat for another 30 minutes or even better, for a few hours. This is actually worth rewatching in slow motion. This is truly one of the most glorious moments of our gas mask tests. Now, many of you expect a decisive answer to the most important question people are asking over and over again. Can I use the GP-5 gas mask as an emergency protective equipment today? Technically speaking, yes, but only under certain circumstances and most importantly with a new compatible filter as explained previously. Do I recommend to use the GP-5 the way I did in the video? Absolutely not, and that goes for every Soviet or other old respirator. The reason why is rather simple. I'm quite confident in my ability to evaluate the condition of a gas mask, but that doesn't mean I would ever use one if not absolutely necessary, let alone recommend it to others. And that's basically all I've got to say about the subject. as there is no way around the fact you're always better off with a new respirator compatible with 40mm Stanek filters, and oh boy, there are many. We'll make sure to cover the topic of affordable respirators in the future, but until then, stay safe, like and subscribe, and enjoy the bonus part of this video. Many of you are asking me about my favorite CBRN respirator, and so we decided to review what we consider the most technically advanced gas mask. Nope. The GP-5 respirator, which is an abbreviation for Grand Protection 5th generation. The GP-5 is actually an abbreviation for civilian gas mask in Russian. It has a standardized filter thread, so it's compatible both with these totally safe, but not really, asbestos filters and also modern ones. There is no such thing as standardized filter thread, and the GP-5 is compatible only with 40mm ghost filters. When we take a look inside, well, there's basically nothing to see, since all the key components that make a great gas mask are so integrated, you might think they're not there. What a marvelous piece of engineering. No, it isn't. There is actually nothing. The GP-5 is being put on in its own quick donning way in a matter of seconds. I found the mask to be easily donned this way as well, because your chin might easily slip out, as happened to me multiple times during filming. It is, however, not the correct way of donning. Just don't try to be smart and experiment with other methods that may seem good at first, but end up completely ridiculous, just like me right now. Indeed, it's just ridiculous. GP-5 is a helmet-style gas mask, meaning it goes very well with your tactical helmets, but since we don't have one, we just use this. This was perhaps the strongest indication it wasn't a serious review at all. The mask comes in 5 sizes: very small, small, almost fits but nah, too big and way too big. A bit exaggerated, but not completely wrong. The GP-5 comes with the most precise and advanced sizing tool we have ever seen. It doesn't, however, come with a friend who can read the measurements for you, so unless there is someone willing to help you, you're on your own. The head measuring portion of the video was to make me look as silly as possible, so no, this is not the correct way. The integrated voice projection unit makes your speech loud and clear, even at a distance of a few meters. So loud and clear I can't even hear myself. Highly limited field of view narrows your vision to things that matter instead of being distracted by whatever things might be around you. A valid point if you think about it. There are no outserts available, because properly trained personnel knows how to use hands when sun gets too bright, or you can simply cast condensate onto the lenses by simply breathing to protect your eyes from sun. Brilliant! Does this really need a commentary? Unlike other modern respirators with basic drinking systems, the GP-5 has a revolutionary eating and drinking system. Believe it or not, this way of emergency food and fluid intake is also described in the British CBRN handbook. Didn't expect that, did you? Minus the mug, of course. Full compatibility with PAPR units and SCBA systems is something I don't even have to mention. There is no lever that switches to positive pressure mode, but it is instead being done automatically upon connection. Total nonsense, but I was rather surprised the mask didn't inflate like a balloon once I turned the device on. Here you have it, folks. We hope you liked this video, and I'll see you next time in CBRN Academy.